I've been very big on sustainable agriculture for a while. And then I heard of hydroponics and vertical farming, two systems. And I did a bit of research, and it just seemed like the perfect merger, to be able to grow, use the benefits of those two systems, to achieve food security and combat all the problems we have. So I decided to pursue a master's in it and do my research in it, and find out how we can make it more efficient because I'm from Nigeria. And so I'm not about to spend my time doing something that's only applicable in one part of the world. So that was my big question. How can we do this more efficiently?
What would you say is that possible size of water hyacinth as a resource material?
Oh, wow. To be very honest, I couldn't even begin to estimate the potential size because one thing is that it spreads.
Okay.
So the size today may not necessarily be the size tomorrow. So once the seeds are in the water, the seeds are viable for 30 years. And as a result of, the tide, people actually ignorantly thinking it's an ornamental plant and introducing it to other bodies causes the spread of this weed. It's a huge opportunity in terms of looking at how we can take this menace and transform it into an economic advantage.
So One World Solar leverages mobile technology to deliver tokenized digital 24/7 electricity. We call it energy decentralization and democratization of energy at about 10 cents, that is Nigerian 36 naira per kilowatt hour, to eligible users. Of course, this is backed by our fintech blockchain technology platform. So One World Solar is that solar fintech startup that enable peer-to-peer trading. That is solar blocks owner. So you are an electricity user, then you connect to One World Solar blockchain platform. That is electricity provider in a digital asset model.
I've been very big on sustainable agriculture for a while. And then I heard of hydroponics and vertical farming, two systems. And I did a bit of research, and it just seemed like the perfect merger, to be able to use the benefits of those two systems, to achieve food security and combat all the problems we have. So I decided to pursue a master's in it and do my research in it, and find out how we can make it more efficient because I'm from Nigeria. And so I'm not about to spend my time doing something that's only applicable in one part of the world. So that was my big question. How can we do this more?
Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you, Chisom. Thank you, Kalio, for joining me this beautiful afternoon to discuss entrepreneurship. And again, this week, or rather, this whole week marks Global Entrepreneurship Week, and there's been quite a number of activities flying up and down. But if there's something I think I noticed after COVID, is that there are more SMEs now than there were last year. Almost everybody has got a business doing now. So I think it's for as much as COVID came around, COVID is still a blessing for people to find their talents and know what works for them. So it's another beautiful day and another edition of Green Innovation Talks with Mr. Banks. And I've got with me Chisom and Kalio, who will share some of their thoughts and also share about their business and the challenges of being an entrepreneur. As we said, this week marks the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And for us at the NCIC, we will continue to celebrate new businesses and everyone who is starting something different from what others have been onto. So, ladies first, they will say. Let me start with you, Chisom. How are you?
Fine, thank you. I sort of expected that
Yes.
you would
Don't
mention
worry
me
about it.
first.
Of course, of course. Even Kalio knows, so he's never bothered about it. Okay,
Interesting.
so so let's start first. Entrepreneurship. Why entrepreneurship?
Entrepreneurship is very important because it's only through entrepreneurship that we can close a lot of the gaps that we have in the economy. And so that's why I think it's very important, it's very vital, it's very key, and that is why it's also very important to support entrepreneurship because beyond entrepreneurship, if you do not put in place certain structures to support those who come up with these ideas, because the truth is, it's people say it's easy to come up with these ideas, but I beg to disagree. It takes a lot to come up with some of these ideas and then start that journey towards becoming an entrepreneur. And I think it's very important that we support these people that have these ideas so that they grow. So yes.
But for you, I mean, for you, tell us a little bit about your business, right? And tell us why you chose entrepreneurship.
Interesting. So I think really at the end of the day, one important thing, one of the reasons would be, and I'll be happy to just go back and tell a bit, tell a story and a bit about what we do. Because what we do at CleanTech Hub, we're a hybrid hub, and we create an environment and a culture that helps green entrepreneurs thrive. And we do this by incubating new businesses and ideas and finding these ideas that address energy access problems, climate change, and environmental sustainability. And one of the other things that we had learned to do, and this even takes me back to a project that we did sometime back, technology meets renewable energy, where we realized that the tech sector had sort of catalyzed the banking sector, because there was fintech. He had catalyzed the transportation sector because, especially for some of us who would relocate, from our phones, we would be able to order rides and go to our destinations without having to enter some of the rural vehicles that we would usually enter. But there was nothing like that happening for the renewable energy sector. We're just doing our own thing, and sometimes we're doing them in silos. And then you start something, and then you realize that somebody has probably done that or is doing it. And so what we tried to do was that we brought stakeholders in the tech sector and the renewable energy sector in the same space and said, let's come up with local solutions to our own problems, because the truth is these climate change problems, these environmental sustainability problems, I mean, we don't have tornadoes in Nigeria. I mean, that's even an example. What are the solutions to our own problems? And it was mind blowing because tech guys would usually tell you, or tech people would usually tell you, I don't know anything about the renewable energy sector. I don't have money to buy solar panels. I kept hearing that, and it was a process of learning and unlearning for me and for them. And they came up with ideas that were mind blowing. And this even now leads me to the problem. Because beyond these ideas, there was just nothing else. There were existing gaps that needed to be filled. There was gap in finance. There was talent. Yes, you have this idea, but are you even the best person? Are you in the best position to execute these ideas? There was no physical capital. It seemed like the market did not favor them because you just never know. You could have an amazing idea, and tomorrow the government wakes up and there's another policy and it just doesn't suit you. Not that you were targeted, but for the common good and all of that. And that's a gap that we are trying to fill, and that's my interest. So I'm not an entrepreneur, but for the longest time I've been very curious about businesses because what I
No,
saw
you're
growing
not
up.
an entrepreneur, but you're
No,
an
I'm not.
entrepreneur.
What I saw
Yes, because
growing up.
entrepreneurs are people who apply, entrepreneurship mindsets to their everyday job. So entrepreneurs don't are not the owners of the business, but they are working in the business, but they think like the business owners, right?
Yes.
Exactly. So
Yes, yes, I agree. But all of that, just seeing, this gap that needed to be filled and seeing people with these ideas without any structure was what led to, um, you know, just the interest in entrepreneurship and helping entrepreneurs.
Thank you so much, Chisom. And also, how is Ify? Ify's doing good.
Yes, yes, she is.
Okay, great. I think I was with her the first time, we discussed that tech meet and renewable energy at EDC in Lagos. We had a conversation, and we thought, look, it would be nice to hold a session around tech meets renewable
Renewables.
energy. And I'm really proud of what you guys are doing at Clayton Hub, which again is a partner hub to us at the NCIC. We're all part of the same,
Yes.
the same network. All right. So I'll jump to you, Khalil. Khalil, you've been very patient listening to this conversation. So
Very
tell
fascinating
me about
too.
your business, and then why did you opt for entrepreneurship instead?
So I'll start with my name is Kali Bellamabo. I'm a trained engineer. So for a very long time, I've been big on design, building things, trying to figure out how we can use engineering to fix societal issues. And Nigeria has a lot of societal issues. So I think when I was in my final year, around that time, so um, I stumbled upon this renewable energy from biogas. So I didn't pay much attention to it, but then on a particular day, I was going somewhere. I was in a car, and I saw in front of a market. I saw they usually use the demarcation to dump their refuge for garbage collectors to come and pick them up. And they haven't done that in maybe 2 or 3 days. So it was a huge pile of organic waste just sit on the road there, and it was smelling. It was causing a nuisance on the road. So, and I thought to myself, wow, see this stuff that I just saw some days ago, of how people were using it to create energy, and look, see how we're just wasting hours, and you see the nuisance it's causing in society. So that was when the whole energy from biogas movement came for me. I was like, our waste management in Nigeria is very poor. So I started thinking of how we can use that, we can take advantage of the deficiencies in the waste management and the energy sector to merge them together to create a symbiotic situation system where the poor waste management will help the poor energy supplies in the country. So that was when the whole business started. But then I wanted to see how we can make it smaller, we can make it modular so that it could be more manageable and more achievable by even the smallest business. So exactly, and it fitted my situation because I didn't have the capital then to bet any of that kind of big, huge, because the biogas plants I saw when I was researching, they were all big plants in Europe. They were all very big projects. So I started to research on how I can see how we can make it smaller. So that's when I saw smaller modular biogas reactors on YouTube, where a lot of Asians and those in Pakistan, Afghanistan, they use a lot of these small makeshift DIY system. So that's when we started designing our own biogas system. And from there, we were designing and um, entering for programs, entrepreneurship programs to
Yeah.
see how we can really sharpen our design to what we got the
What would
NCIC.
you say? What would you say is one of the most challenging things within
Mm,
as an entrepreneur currently? I mean, apart from finance, we know money is everybody's friend,
mm.
Yes.
right? Even Dangote is looking for money, but so, but then, but then for you, right, in this
Mm.
course of this journey, what has been, what will you think, what will you list as your top three challenges that you think has driven you to this point that you've been able to surmount, or that is still staring at you? Top three.
I would say um, access to markets. You know, the Nigerians are these very resilient people. So if you're trying to sell them a new thing, they don't really gravitate towards. They're not open to new ideas that easily. They are very conservative. If something is working for them, they are really exposed to any new um, um, idea. That, and also the economy too. So if you're trying to build like one very pressing thing that affected us was pricing our product. So in one hand, we had to make it accessible enough for the common Nigerian, and the other hand, we have to be sustainable. We have to make it in such a way that we don't run out of money. So that whole trying to make it cheap enough, that I should say, accessible enough for people, and still make money so that you can run the business. It's another. Those are I would say the two main friction points we have. But every other one, I think we can. We're not. They don't have as much gravity as these two.
Three challenges that you think every startup that you've noticed that you think they face.
I think I lost you for a few seconds. Could you please repeat that?
Okay, so I said that since you've heard what Kalio said, right? And for someone who deals with startup from the outside, I mean, I like the two perspectives that you're getting here. Kalio is in the inside as being an entrepreneur.
Mm.
You are as the outside monitoring and also trying to support an entrepreneur. So you might see things that he might not also see. So in your course of dealing with entrepreneurs, maybe the ones that come through through the hub and everything, what would you say are the top three challenges that you think every entrepreneur faces?
This is a very interesting question, and I'm really very happy to answer it. A lot of people might disagree, but I think the first would be validation. Because sometimes they walk in through the door and they don't know whether or not their idea is the one. They don't know whether this is a good idea. Sometimes they haven't done their research. Sometimes they don't know whether this is something that the market needs, because there's people coming out with ideas that are excellent that the market doesn't need. There are people recreating solutions that already exist and just rebranding them. And sometimes what they need is a bit of hand holding and to say, you're on the right track, you're doing the right thing, continue. And then truthfulness as well, saying, I think you need to do this way, you're doing things the wrong way, this is how I think you should approach things. That is something that I know that entrepreneurs need. They need to be told the truth at each phase of their businesses, just so that we are sure that they are moving in the right direction, because it just makes no sense to have people sugarcoat things for you. And it's always interesting to have entrepreneurs express, people have come to me to express, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm just pushing it. And I understand that because it is something that is common. I think the second challenge is just having an ecosystem, and that is why creating thriving ecosystems is something that I'm very passionate about, because when you have an ecosystem, you have support, which is something that a lot of entrepreneurs do not have. Most times they work in silos, they do not have any form of support, they do not know. Of course, at that point, at the initial startup phase, they cannot afford the services of experts. But when you have an ecosystem, sometimes it's even as little as an online platform where there are different people, investors, entrepreneurs, business owners, in the same space where people can just come and say, I'm confused about this, or they need that, or even where other entrepreneurs can come and post opportunities that could be lifelines for these businesses. And I'll give an example. Um, in our own ecosystem, which runs organically, I've seen situations where a startup will come and say, "Oh, there's this startup that does this. Can you inbox me? I have something that we could collaborate together or work together on." If you're working in silos, there's no way that's going to happen. That's for that. And then through an ecosystem, you get visibility, because I've learned that you could be doing the most amazing things. But if nobody knows what you're doing, unfortunately, you're really just wasting your time. You could be saving the world if nobody knows. And the worst thing that will happen is for somebody to discover you and then practically take your ideas and run with it, especially when they have funding. So it's very important. They don't have this visibility, and I think it's very important that at every stage you make noise about what you're doing. Put it on your social media, talk to people about it, cold email people, um, develop relationships with people in the media who could, put it out there once in a while, attend events and network with people. These are the things that open doors. And I think the final thing for me would be mentorship. This is very important. A lot of people, don't have mentors. They don't know. It's like when you're at a crossroad in your life, you have two paths to take, and you've not been on either path before. But there are several people who have made, who have walked the talk. They have been on this journey. They might not understand your journey fully, but I'm sure that they have something to offer. It's always a problem because entrepreneurs sometimes think they can do it on their own. They don't want to share their idea.
Right. Maybe if I can chip in a little bit, right, on
Yes,
that part of mentorship. Let me think also that for us as a people, right, we have that problem of saying any little success we have, we say now God, oh, and nobody wants to share how that success was being done. Yes, I mean we're very religious people, right? I mean, Kalio hits $1 million now, which is with his program. They say, hey, bros, how did you do it? He say, oh man, God, oh,
Praise God.
right? But shouldn't we also say that for as much as we understand that there is that higher factor there, but we should also put together details, steps, and be willing to share of how we're able to do this. And if there's a role of luck in it, shouldn't we also say there is a rule of law? But do you also think that that might just be a reason why many people don't get the best of answers when it comes to mentorship?
of course, many people don't get the best of answers when it comes to mentorship, which is why it is always very important to be very careful about who you choose to mentor you. And like I said, be very careful about who you choose to mentor you. But as well, you can have as many mentors for whatever stage in life that you are. I understand that people do that, but I think in my own experience, and I could be wrong, um, people in this sector, because it is such a struggle, we're still trying to find our feet. It's at its nascent stage. They're a bit more open. People come and share their struggles. That has been my own personal experience. And in because part of the program is that we handpick mentors, we cherry pick them, and we match them to these startups based on their needs after doing a needs assessment. So these mentors do not hold back. That is one thing that we know that they do. But yes, mentors do that where they try to hold back because they think you're competition, and that is why it's always very important to, like I said, cherry pick. And that is why incubation programs are good. They are great because that is when you have access to the best, and these people don't hold back.
Thank you so much, Jason. That was quite elaborate, right? But now, Khalil, for you, right? What are those things that you think that if it's available,
Mr.
right,
Barnes, can you please
can
repeat?
make
I
your
didn't
job,
get that.
Yes,
your
kind
your production easier, your which was even going to come to partnership later. But what are those your business skill? Like for instance, yeah. So I said that what are those things, but it's not available. That you think that if it's available, it can ease the journey for you. For instance, we know that power is a very critical part of every business. Once we solve power's problem, then we can solve and your own journey as a biofuel developer or producer. What would you say are those critical things that you like to see that are not available for you to be able to scale your business?
So the, the only thing that comes to mind is the regulation. So I know NERC, they have this regulation that says they can, once you produce power up to 1 megawatt, you have to sell it to the national grid. But I think if for businesses like small power generators like myself, um, these policies will not allow us be effective. That's the best I can explain it. So, for example, I want to supply power to, say, my community here in Borokri, and I produce up to 1 megawatt for Borokri, and the experience will be better because, say, Borokri has this demand for 1 megawatt. So if I give them 1 megawatt, they will have constant electricity. It will be more appreciable to them than once I produce 1 megawatt, the government will force me to sell it to the national grid, where they will still ration it to people, to everybody. There's this centralization program in Nigeria that they're trying to carry everybody at the same time. They should allow fragmentation. They should allow people. They should allow businesses, cater to their immediate environments. While I think that would be better model for power distribution, rather than saying once you produce 1 megawatt, in essence they are saying it's just for people that want to produce power for themselves. So, for example, big factories that produce under 1 megawatt, you can do that. But once you want to go into distribution, power distribution and business, you must sell to the national grid, and the traditional companies will sell to the distribution companies, and they will now distribute back to the people. So
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, Chisom, I know that clean tech and also Olon, also some of us within that circle.
Yes.
They've been sort of like a policy review study that has been done. I don't know if you can share a few more lights around that, Chisom.
Yes, so there was can everyone hear me? There was the SC for
Yes.
all. So what we did basically was, we know that we have all the policies in the world. We have plenty of them, but a lot of times, and people don't know that that first of all these policies exist. They don't know how it relates to them, and it just seems like it's just there. So what we did was we took some of these policies, the NR, Triple E, SE for all, and some of these other policies, and summarize them using infographics and just highlighting the key words and the key points to note, just so that it makes it easy for the stakeholders to know that these exist and apply them to their businesses. And to a large extent, these policies, I know that we have policies that seek to support activities around environmental sustainability and energy access. But yes, we do have these policies.
Can you help me share? Now, let me ask the both of you, right? I know that the role of partnership is very big, right? Most entrepreneurs would like to partner with some heavy companies, but those heavy companies think that the entrepreneurs lack the experience of able to handle this kind of partnerships. And the kind of partnerships that happen between a small business and another small business is always difficult. I mean, in your own experience, what do you see the role of legal here that can solve this kind of challenges?
So I think legal has quite a major role to play, because what it does is that it helps both parties know their contractual obligations and keeps them in place so that each party does what they are supposed to do. And it also helps to access, the big organization and the small. I mean, regardless of size, you find that they need each other. If not, they wouldn't be a partnership in the first place. So on the side of the big organization and the side of the small, there should be, they should both have legal representation at every stage, and documentation that clearly states everyone's role and responsibility, and timelines and mitigation steps. What should happen in the situation that things do not necessarily go as planned. So I think it's very important. I feel like if you don't involve, if there's no legal side to whatever business partnerships or collaborations that you're trying to do, these things are not well laid out and stated, and people, they dot their I's and cross their T's, it leads to problems in the long run, which lawyers like, by the way. Sometimes they don't want you to involve them in the beginning, because when you involve them when there's trouble, they make they make money. So it's very, very important that there's the legal aspect. And I know that startups tend to ignore it sometimes because, let's face it, there's no money. They are still trying to run the business. They're still trying
That's the
to
point I wanted to raise up as an entrepreneur.
Now you're talking.
As an entrepreneur, that's the point I wanted to raise up. Like most startup in the beginning, especially in the beginning, they don't really have money to spare. I won't say spare. I should not call it sparing, but that's what it is. We don't really have too much money to mark to lawyers, and in Nigeria everybody wants to make money. You tell a lawyer to draw you just a memorandum of understanding.
just
They want to start charging you plenty money and trying to make quick bucks off you, while you too, you're trying to economize and squeeze out something for your business to go forward. So I think my legal practitioners in this sense can do some kind of standardized, say, to prepare memorandum of understanding for especially entrepreneurs. We should, maybe I'm talking about now the Nigerian Bar Association or something. We should not charge money. We should help them, because there should be this joint effort to help entrepreneurs or small businesses, because these are the people that will employ 10, 20 employees and help grow Nigeria, the economy. So there should be this concern and support. It shouldn't be all about making money. Even though they will make money, they want to charge money. It should not be exorbitant prices.
Even though we know
assist,
that money
use
is
it
a
in
very critical part, right? We know
Yes.
that some of these services also can be given, and we know that it can help partnership very much. But the question I want to ask you, Khalil, is this: why do small businesses, why don't they partner with each other? I mean, as your own experience, if another small business like you comes to meet you now for partnership, why do you think guys at the very early stage don't see a need, or SME stage don't see?
I won't call it they don't see a need. There's this, I think this competition. There's this, they have this competitive mindset. So they feel they can do it alone, on their own. So partnering with somebody will only make them share in the profit. They all feel they are better than the next business. So for example, during our Empire Incubation Program, Emmanuel, I don't know if you remember Emmanuel, Climate Innovation Motors, he has this idea to build charge stations. So yeah. So we were trying to we producing energy, we were trying to say, oh, we'll sell you energy while you use it to charge the cars. He was like, oh, no, good idea, but we didn't want to, we want to generate our own power. You see, there's this idea that they want to do everything themselves, vertically integrated. They don't want any outside help. And also competence, because one question he raised to me when I suggested that, he was like, how competent are we in producing power, since we've not done anything yet in producing the power? So there's this, you don't really trust the other business. They would think the other business will be a dead weight to them. They're trying to drag them along. So maybe that's the reason why small businesses don't really partner with themselves that often.
But then,
People like to ask
so
that.
what do you think about this?
I would like to even speak to two things. The first would be, our earlier conversation about lawyers. And I think my general advice would be, you need to have a lawyer and an accountant as your friend. If you don't have one as a starter, because you can't afford one anyways, you need to have one. So look for them and make friends with them. So just so that it's like the way we have our doctor friends, that when we have any symptoms, we can always just message them and say, please, and I do it, have a quick look at this. What do you think? And I think that's why it's very important that as people and as businesses, we are resourceful. Because if you're resourceful, if I know that I can always tap from you and you can tap from me. If you're my friend, and specifically, I have friends who are lawyers, who are doctors, who, when I need to sign a contract, I send to them and say, please take a look. And they
Go
send back
through.
to me and they underline, Chisom, I don't understand this, please ask them to clarify. And the same way, when they need to do something techy, if they need anything that has to do with tech, they just call me and they expect me to have it all figured out. I don't charge them and they don't charge me. So it's always very important. That's for that. I think one of the reasons why small businesses don't like to partner is that there's a lot of fear that their ideas will be stolen. If I had a penny for every time I've heard my idea will be stolen, I'd probably be a zillionaire because it's not even millionaire at this point. I've heard it too many times, and at the events where people are supposedly there to network and collaborate, and I hear things like, "So I'm not going to tell you everything because you might steal my idea," and everybody will laugh. And that's not to say that people don't steal ideas. People do, and it is the most painful thing. People, listen to you, undervalue you, and run with your idea. There was this thing I read on Facebook where an entrepreneur came to pitch, and the investor told him that he would give him, I think, $20,000 or 50% stake in his company, and he would step down, and his nephew would now be the CEO. It was the most hilarious thing I had read. But this is a reason. It's just you need to learn to grow beyond this fear, because if you're not able to collaborate and share your ideas with people, you will just be running in circles. That's usually what happens. And the second thing is, it just takes us back to what I said about having a person validate you sometimes. Not too much, but when it's necessary. Because sometimes you're not even sure what you're doing. I remember sometime in August, September, I had an entrepreneur under our program come to me to say, Chisom, after we had our lean model canvas and the MVP sessions, I realized that what I said my business was doing in the first place was not really what we're doing. I think we're doing something else. You know, what we're doing is different. So I need to change that. And sometimes people are not sure. They want to figure things out before they begin to collaborate. I think that's it for me.
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of what your conversation of what your statement was. But I think if it's for that business that is not sure what their business model is, I think pivoting should be the next best thing for them to shift
Yes.
from where they thought they were to again. Can we share a little bit of thoughts, right? Around your experience around research and entrepreneurship. Research and entrepreneurship. I mean, Chisholm, you said so much around validation, right? Again, Kali has helped us understood that there are sometimes when you don't even have the resources to push for some things at a very early stage. So, I mean, from your take, Chisholm, and also Kali from your own side, let's start with Chisholm first. How do you think research can affect the kind of quality of innovations that we have around here?
Sorry, I didn't hear you for like the last 5 seconds. I
I
just
mean,
heard, how do I think?
I said, what do you think? How do you think research, or rather, do you think research can possibly, can impact the quality of products that we have? The quality of innovations that come out from Nigeria and Africa as a whole.
Yes, I do. I really do. I think research is very important. After having, after the big idea, the next thing to do is to start, your research. And I think it's important because it helps you determine a number of things. One of the things it does is that it helps you do a market assessment. Who are the people that need your? Is there even a need for your product? This idea, does it? First of all, you find out if the idea already exists. So many people have come up with ideas, and then a little you realize that there's somebody on a really large scale that's doing what you're doing. It doesn't say you should stop, but it gives you sort of like a bird's eye view of what is happening in the sector that you're looking to operate in. So there's really that where you get to find out whether there's a need, whether it exists, whether it's even something that you can do. Do you need some training to be able to pull this off? If tomorrow I wake up and I decide to do something on biogas, I will have to do a lot of research to even know who are the people I should be talking to, how do I get this going, what do I need to know to get this through. So it's very important. And another thing that it does is that, and I feel like it ultimately affects your pricing, is that it helps you to have an idea of your market size. And even beyond your market size, what demographic are you targeting? Are we doing a excellent product and low price, or low price and bad product? Where are you on the quadrangle? This helps you determine, because the demographic that you're targeting will determine sort of how you put your products out there, and all of that. So that is why I think that research is very important at every stage of um, of developing your product, of entrepreneurship. Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. Kali, what do you think?
So I'll start with from 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 the ideation stage of the business. So like I told you guys earlier, I stumbled upon biogas energy production. Then I saw the huge garbage dumps on the road. After that, I now went online to research to see what ways they've been using to convert organic waste to energy. So during my research, because I was skeptical of how much energy can be produced from bio waste or organic waste. I was skeptical. I was like, even though they can do these things, it will be more than some couple of kilowatts of energy. So, but then when I started my research, I found out that in some countries like Germany produces more energy from organic waste alone than what Nigeria is producing altogether. Than all the energy Nigeria is producing from all our energy source. Germany produces organic waste alone. Oh. They're not talking about their hydro. They're not talking about geothermal and thermal, from organic waste alone. So, the research is like that will help you, solidify your drive to say, okay, this is what we can do and this is what we cannot do. Also, research also make you see what other societies have been doing, what other people have done in your field or in other fields, or you can incorporate into your business that will make it more sustainable, that will make it more, that will help you undercut your competition. Research is very important in the entrepreneurship. Also, it also helps you be flexible. So it helps you follow the trend. So you will not be stuck in just where your idea was, where your initial Eureka moment came. Okay, I want to do this, and you start developing there, and you don't check what the market is doing, where the industry is heading to. Like, for example, if Nigeria keep on say focusing on high, what they call it, high,
Energy from the grid.
our oil reserves now, the
Oil reserves.
hydrocarbons. If we continue focusing on hydrocarbons away from fossil fuels, they are leveraging heavily on renewables. And if we don't join that train, in no time will be obsolete. Our society will be obsolete. We cannot compete with other societies. So we need to imbibe this culture of research, which is very important, especially for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
We need to ideas to move.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Kali. Thank you, Chisom. So just before we leave, I would like you guys to share some last lines about anything around what you do, advice, comments, thoughts. Just one last line before we leave. Chisom, for you first,
Just I want to go first.
as usual.
I didn't even get that. Kali, I'm very happy for you to go first, but could you please repeat the question?
All right.
Mr. Banks, she didn't get the question.
Last line before we leave.
Okay, so I think one of the few things I'd like to say, just speaking to this topic, is that I would encourage everyone to support green economy projects like this. People who are doing things in biogas, climate change, energy access, environmental sustainability. It's very important that we begin to pay attention to these things. And I think it's also very important that startups understand that they are not alone. Entrepreneurs need to understand that they are not alone. There are people that they can reach out to for help and for support who will provide these things. The questions that you have, the doubts that you have, they are valid, and people have walked this talk, and they can guide you on what to do. And I think another thing would be that we need to create thriving ecosystems, places where startups, entrepreneurs can come and rest, can come and have their questions answered, coming without fear of their ideas being stolen or whatever other fears that they have. Create more opportunities for startups to network, create more opportunities for them to access finance, and then in turn teach them, because you find that there's to a reasonable extent there's funding in the sector for these ideas. The world is starting to look in this direction, but sometimes you find that you walk these entrepreneurs through a process, and then they either disappear or they just don't seem to tell their story well enough. And it brings me to my final point. You need to go out there and tell your story. Tell us why, tell us how. Make noise about what you're doing, because what you're doing is amazing. It is only when don't sit where you are with your idea and say that there's no funding, there's no support, Nigeria doesn't care. There are people who have access to the opportunities that you need to grow. How would they know that you are there in your corner if you're not visible? You are a business, you don't even have a website. If we look for you on Google My Business, we cannot find you. You do not have an official phone number. There's no person in your organization who we know is like a permanent staff or somebody who is always there. And then it's also very important for you as the founder, like I like to call them, to know your strengths and focus on your strengths. If you are not the type that speaks, need to have somebody on your team that can market you to the point where people want to know who is this big organization. Meanwhile, you're just starting out. Know what you need and what you don't have, and look for ways to access those things through collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Um, I'll add. We should see every challenge, every shortcoming in society as an opportunity for business, as an opportunity for innovation. So look at any issue in the society, provide solution to it, and build a business around it. That's what I want to add. Everybody should look for something in society. We should stop complaining, oh, this is not working, this is not working, that is not working, government is not working. Nobody is working. Nothing works in our society. Look for a solution for anything, build a business around it, and push it, pursue that venture with everything you have. That's what I'll add.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We have Chisom from the Clean Tech Hub and Kalio from Bean Energy. Guys, it was really a very fun time spending 1 hour, with you. We do this every Thursday. So, Thursday, we always find someone else to have a lunch hour conversation with about their work. And that's what the whole essence of the Green Innovation Talks with Mr. Banks is about. And we appreciate the work that you're doing at, Clean Tech, Hub. And also at Bean Energy, we see that the future is very, is also very, very, very bright, like literally very, very bright. And and we look for all the crazy innovations that will come out from your stable. And Clean Hub, we are still partners. I think we can do
Yes.
more around that ecosystem building. So I mean, when you spoke about ecosystem, it reminded me of myself when I was running the Abuja tech ecosystem way back in 2013. We were the only hub then. It was Inspire Incubator, so we literally had to build everything from scratch. Calling for meetups, calling for hackathons, calling for events, mentors meet up, or business clinics, all those different things. So I mean, I think between the clean tech hub and the NCIC, I think we can try and come up with something like that and see how we can support the early stage businesses within our circle and also build a stronger ecosystem. So guys, thank you so much for spending your time with us, and thank you for everyone who has sat down, who has also been listening, and also to my team at NCIC. Daniel, well done. Okay, so I'll see you again next week. It's going to be another
Thank
one hour
you.
of
Thank
lunch talk.
you.
Thank you, Chisom. Thank you,
Thank
Kalio.
you.
Thank you
And
for having us.
thank you so much. And please have fun while we're trying to make business. Cheers.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
Oh, wow. To be very honest, I couldn't even begin to estimate the potential size, because one thing is that it spreads.
Okay.
So the size today will not necessarily be the size tomorrow. So once the seeds are in the waters, the seeds are viable for 30 years. And as a result of the tide, people actually ignorantly thinking it's an ornamental plant and introducing it to other bodies causes the spread of this weed. It's a huge opportunity in terms of looking at how we can take this menace and transform it into an economic advantage.
So One World Solar leverages mobile technology to deliver tokenized digital 24/7 electricity. We call it energy decentralization and democratization of energy at about 10 cents, that is Nigerian 36 naira per kilowatt power, to eligible users. Of course, this is backed by our fintech blockchain technology platform. So One World Solar is that solar fintech startup that enable peer-to-peer trading. That is solar block owner. So you are an electricity user, then you connect to One World Solar blockchain platform. That is electricity provider in a digital asset model.
I've been very big on sustainable agriculture for a while. And then I heard of hydroponics and vertical farming, two systems. And I did a bit of research, and it just seemed like the perfect merger, to be able to use the benefits of those two systems, to achieve food security and combat all the problems we have. So I decided to pursue a master's in it and do my research in it, and find out how we can make it more efficient, because I'm from Nigeria, and so I'm not about to spend my time doing something that's only applicable in one part of the world. So that was my big question: how can we do this more efficiently?
what would you say is that possible size of water hyacinth as a resource material?
Oh, wow. To be very honest, I couldn't even begin to estimate the potential size, because one thing is that it spreads.
Okay.
So the size today will not necessarily be the size tomorrow. So once the seeds are in the waters, the seeds are viable for 30 years. And as a result of, the tide, people actually ignorantly thinking it's an ornamental plant and introducing it to other bodies causes the spread of this weed. It's a huge opportunity in terms of looking at how we can take this menace and transform it into an economic advantage.